We have Miss Sue Henderson with us from Suetables. It's a pleasure. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good, good. Yeah. For today, the topic of the call is definitely going to be jumping in and understanding a little bit more about your business, your passion for the products that you sell, and your journey to where you're at now, and how you've grown the business to what is both a business operating in a brick and mortar, and
Right.
also online, and the journey that's kind of taking you there. And then on the back half, we'll definitely jump into what are you seeing working for you in this ever changing e-commerce performance marketing landscape that's kind of been working well for you, or challenges, goals you have for 2026 as well, and what the future of the business looks like. So I'd love to hand it over to you as well. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about the business, how it started, when it started, the reasons that you wanted to kind of get
Okay.
into all of this in the first place.
Yeah, so I have one of those classic hobby business in the basement turned 3 stores and an online store that ships worldwide. I definitely when I started it, it was kind of a sidekick. It was never going to be bringing home the bacon. It was gonna be the side hustle, and I was gonna be raising my sons. And it quickly took off, um, selling out of my basement and then my kitchen. And to the point where I was having 30 pickups on some days, wandering around looking for that pickup box in my backyard. And meanwhile, I was in my basement Googling businesses I could start, franchises, ideas,
Nice.
hosting, pop up shows in my kitchen, inviting people over, walk in Wednesdays. I found all these creative ways to surround myself and sell to the schoolyard moms.
Cool.
And sometimes in life, when 200 people showed up in my kitchen one day to shop and I only had about 6 products, I thought, huh, maybe this is the business. So
Maybe I got something here.
yeah, so
What?
it's been a long journey. I definitely made a lot of things. There's definitely a lot of things I would have done differently. While I was busy changing diapers, a lot of people came into my category. I was the first one personalizing on the spot in Canada. It was, in 2005, that's, 20 years ago. It was a huge, huge opportunity. But I was busy with my life and I didn't necessarily scale it until beginning around 2008. And it was the beginning of online. And so I was one of the first web jewelry websites in Canada out there. The only person I could find selling online was Tiffany's, and our price
Wow.
points were drastically, drastically different for sterling silver. Eventually we moved into gold, but anyway, another story.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, just kind of rewinding back on a few things there. Like, how are you attracting attention for those first 30 customers a day and getting people into your home? Was it word of mouth? What were the marketing strategies early?
Yeah, they weren't strategies, but they were definitely great, and you could definitely tell a story about what they were, but it was I mean, don't underestimate the power of the schoolyard mom, right? Like, I
Nice.
had 2 little boys in kindergarten, and every day I had these little charms that said Thomas and Charlie on my neck.
Mm,
Everyone's like, "What are you wearing?" I'm like, "Oh, do you want one?" In the meantime, I had been hand stamping butter knives as gifts with kids' names on it, so I knew how to hand stamp. I had made this one necklace, and everyone had a kid in the schoolyard, and they all wanted one, and it was like an inexpensive price point, and I think I sold 500 of them to the moms, and it just grew. They kept saying, "Well, what else do you have?" And I kept saying, "That's it."
mm,
They're like, "You have one necklace?" I'm like, "Well, no, it wasn't meant to be a business. It was just a thing I love, and I made it for me." And they all wanted one. So it really it was the moms. And
yeah.
I mean, talk about, 2005 social proof before UGC content, before social media, before all of that was out there. It was out there. It was just in different venues. It was in people's homes. It was in the schoolyard. It was in the bar. It was beside around the campfire. Like it's the same thing. It's just we've all moved to a digital format. And so I definitely had to adapt to that and learn it. And I'm still learning.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And again, of course, I mean, you've gone through so many adaptations over up until now, 2026.
Yeah.
But definitely caught the wave of some really good trends. I mean, like there are a ton of customizable jewelry options now, but being there
Yes.
and kind of before the wave is fantastic. And then being on the internet so early is very interesting too. And really, it sounds like it's just Suitables has just grown through adapting too,
Yeah.
but really leaning on what is a fantastic product first.
What I would say to others that are having a fabulous hobby business or having a product that's showing some success, I think a lot of people, and I think a lot of women too, that have other responsibilities at home. Their temptation is to keep it small because they've got a lot on their plate. I mean, everyone has a lot on their plate. Be real. Um, Things really changed when I opened a retail location. And I really did not want to open a retail location. Think of it as a digital ad on a street,
Mhm. Mhm.
and even if that's where you're running your online business, I mean, typically, if you're an entrepreneur, you're obsessed with your product. You have to be. You cannot do this if you're not obsessed. So you might
Mhm.
as well open a spot, even if you don't staff it all the time every day. I mean, I did,
Mhm.
but to where people can come and see it, because
Mhm.
a lot of, like, people are like, "Well, how do I get it?" I'm like, "Well, walk in Wednesday." They're like, "Well, I wanna walk in on a Tuesday." I'm like, "Okay, I guess you're coming Tuesday as well." Like, you wanna sort of have boundaries around your life, but, like, a retail store is a great ad, right?
Absolutely. So was that the next step from the, 200 people crowding into your kitchen? Was
Yeah, it
that
was
when you realized, like
either a divorce or a store. I couldn't have people walking in my kitchen changing their chains every day, so the store, I'd love
absolutely.
to tell
So
you it was strategic, but it was desperation of boundaries in my life, yeah.
yeah, and I think it's really good insight for, even a small kind of percentage of you can really get a good sense of market demand even from 30 people, right? And that is this something that people really want and can kind of get you out of that silo of, am I creating something only I truly really love, or am I creating something that really has mass appeal here?
Yeah, and people
And
kept saying, "Do you have it? Can we put the charm on a bracelet? Can you get a dog tag? I really like triangles." Like, people tell you, and you don't necessarily listen to one person, and you definitely have to be
Mhm.
careful about that, but when you keep hearing the same thing, you're like, "Wow, this is a." I mean, I showed up at a ski show, in Ontario, like, at one of those private ski, clubs, to
Mhm.
sell my wares, and my sister and I had it all out, and we had the little hand stamps and the letters, and we had birthstones. That's when we'd sort of brought production to Mexico and created our own kinda look, and there was a huge lineup of moms, and we sold more than anybody in that whole room that day. For I think we were selling them for $30, the necklaces at the time, and everyone could afford it, and everybody bought one. Yeah, it was amazing.
That's really exciting. So yeah, the demand's always been there. It's just about how do we adapt to continue to grow the business,
Correct.
right? And then in the ever changing environments that are, I'm sure, increasing brick and mortar costs
Yeah.
as cities develop, and then also all of the new strategies to be implemented online, which has probably been easily the most that's changed over the last 20 years, right?
And I
For the
think your
business.
comment about ever-changing technology, I mean, and strategies is key. I mean, I had a meeting, today, with digital marketing, about digital marketing, and it's just constantly changing. For 2
Hmm.
years, we try one thing, and we're like, "Yeah, that's pretty good. Now let's try something else." I mean, if you had just endless budget, let's do it all. Like, I look at the brands that are doing it all. So they do SEO, they do
Hmm.
the Google Ads, they do UGC content paid, they develop non-paid UGC content. They have customer reviews and stories and venues for them to upload themselves. Like, you do it all, and then you'd look at all those lanes, and you'd be like, "Oh, we're going to go more here and spend more money there." Like, I look at those companies and think, "Oh, that would be just so great." And we little bit tried that a little bit this November and December. Like, I closed one of my stores and said, "Okay, I'm going to take the rent from that store
Mm.
and just really throw it at the online store and see what happens."
Hmm.
Had such hope and such belief that that would just, because we would you would always continue spending if you see the sales, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the sales were good this Christmas, but they didn't, like, justify the spend.
Mm.
So then
Hmm.
again, we're interviewing on a day where I need to pivot. And again, tips for anybody that's out there that's in this space is pivot, pivot, pivot. You're always looking at the numbers, you're always pivoting. I just want to press go, trust a team, and say, "You do it. Here's the money." But you can't, because it's your
Yeah.
baby, and you gotta just keep looking at what's happening in the world and where they're going.
Yeah, and it's always such a fine balance, isn't it? If we, definitely shift focus into this paid performance marketing side. And before we jump into that, I'm just curious, like with Suitables now, does it two stores we have doors open? Two doors
So I have
open?
2 stores in Toronto, 1 in Montreal, and then an online
Fantastic.
store there and an online store where I'm sitting right now, that ships worldwide. So
Right.
4 locations, 3 that you can just go in on, 7 days a week.
Fantastic. And over that time, like, how is the split kind of evened out over brick and mortar versus online? Where are we driving the most sales? Is
So for
it
a long
online
time, it
sto
was sort of equal across all venues, and maybe this is the paid advertising that, you know, it's the online is number 1.
Yeah, the online's
We can
number 1.
just we don't
Yeah,
our store, we're a neighborhood, so where we have one in Toronto, Yonge and Eglinton, you get neighborhood people, whereas online, we can ship anywhere.
everywhere,
A
and
story that might be interesting for your listeners is,
yeah.
um, Meghan Markle wore our so the pandemic hit around March 16th in Toronto where, we were all mandated to close our stores. And I thought, "Oh, wow, like, fire everybody, send them home to sit in their living rooms, and we're done, like, we're cooked, like, we don't I gotta keep paying rent, and I got all these stores open, I'm gonna go out of business."
Yeah.
And then about a week or 2 later, I got a call from our Montreal store saying a friend of Meghan Markle's had come in and had bought her some Suetables. I'm like, "Well, great, like, is she gonna wear it?" They're like, "We don't know," and I'm like so then I started obsessively all over because 'cause I'm sitting on my living room couch doing nothing.
Yeah.
Um, not I mean, I'm overstating it to make a point, but anyway, she then tagged us, or we then found the picture, and there are 2 little dots on a tiny picture, and we were confirmed that that's what she was wearing, and we tagged her, and then we sat back, and the orders flooded in, and we were trying to social distance in our office. We had a person in every corner. I think there was 4 of us or 3 of us at the time in every corner of our office, and it was so much so that about 2 weeks in, the head of customer service looks at me, "Oh, I should mention I haven't answered an email in 2 weeks." I'm like, "What?"
Did
"Oh,
you
we
have
have
them just
we have 5,000 emails." She's like, "I can't even, like, scroll through them." So then we hired a person just to print labels all day long,
Yeah.
print, print. And I mean, that was a good example. Also, a great tip is that, you gotta look at your website as the tree. It's the tree, and you cannot grow any of these branches if your tree is not in a good space. Like, your customer service has to be solid,
Mm,
the value proposition, the trust you've built with them. If you're gonna fail and you're gonna mess it up and you can't get it for someone's birthday, you gotta call them in person, or you gotta send them a really nice email apologizing, "This is coming late, but when it gets here, we're gonna express it to you overnight and refund your shipping." Like, you have to earn trust. And so if that tree, which is I think your website, is not solid, all those branches you're doing, all that wonderful social media and advertising, like, I'm sure, it's your business, you know this. If you can
mhm.
deliver the customer, if the brand can't handle what you deliver, you're going to mess it up. And I think we
Yeah.
did mess it up. I mean, they gave us a bit of slack because they were like, it's Meghan Markle. We're a small business. We were not expecting this volume of orders, and please be patient with us. But in retrospect, I would have hired like another body just to talk to customers and say, "I'm so sorry, it's coming."
Yeah, and I think we can always agree that, especially in the world of entrepreneurship, I mean, there's always hindsight, right? There's always
Yeah,
what could have been done better, but that's how you learn as an entrepreneur. You really
totally.
have to go through that, and then you build a better, robust system. And there's always going to be new customers coming through. There's
Yeah,
always going to be sales, and that, as long as we fix the solution, it's not a repeating issue, or we're only getting better for the things that have been challenges in the past. That's actually what makes
and
the business better.
I agree, and I also think what's changed is now, if that happened, I get out my little iPhone and I give them a little story of, "Hi, this is Sue. I'm so sorry. We've been flooded with 5,000 orders. We're a small business. Orders are delayed by at least 2 months. We're so excited. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened. We never imagined that someone like Meghan Markle would wear our brand, but please be patient with us. We love you. We're
Correct.
delighted with all the orders, but we're gonna get to you." Whereas
That's
back
exactly
then,
right.
we didn't have that back then. So
Yeah, and I think we've all been consumers on the other side too, right? Like, we've
right.
all bought from brands for the first time. And there is an experience factor to that too. You might actually just want to purchase the product, but you're absolutely right. There's a whole post-purchase experience that comes with that. Right? How am I if I am interested, like, where is my order? How clearly am I being told about the tracking of my order? Or if something isn't going well, like, how much is a brand sympathizing with me? Those are the things that truly make or break a relationship with a customer. Those are the things where I, you know, you could actually turn a situation which could be a stall in shipping to a very dedicated customer just by the way you're
Yes,
handling that
yes,
stall in shipping.
right,
You
and a
let
that
them
new
know you're aware of it. Everybody wants to just be like, I don't know if "heard's" the right word, but not feel like another number,
yeah, it's
right?
managing expectations too, right? It's like
Yeah.
being heard. Yeah,
Yeah, and the thing that you're and what you're talking about, it's like, hey, hop on, like, with founders being a bit more present on social media now, there's definitely this shift in the e-commerce space for sure where people, I think what you can really, like, boil down successful e-commerce marketing to a lot of times too is just being as authentic to a customer as possible. And a lot of times, yeah, the product sells itself, right? It looks great, awesome, I want it. But a lot of it too is, as more and more brands come online, more and more brands spend on advertising, your consumers just, bombarded with content and advertising every single day. It's like I think we could all agree that if you're able to, like, continue to show up at schools, continue to show up at fairs and clubs, and do it on this scale that you could reach
yeah,
the same amount of people that you're doing with online marketing, we could agree you'd probably convert higher if Sue could be everywhere,
yes,
essentially getting out
yes.
to 1,000,000 people in a day, the same way you're getting to 1,000,000 people online.
Yes,
So
yes,
if we could both agree that that's true, then we go, okay, what are the qualities of that? Why does it convert better, right? There's a human connection, there's a human interaction. And I think for a person buying the product, it's not just about the product, but it's like I'm I love supporting Sue and her business. And there is that element. I think everyone has that craft element to them, which is why markets are still great. Why you still buy sourdough from the local, baker down the street. So with the marketing, if you can continue to just make it feel authentic and somewhat personable, or, that's why like right now what's working very well too in content is a lot of founder ads, a lot of like
yeah,
founders of businesses
there,
talking about
yeah.
their product too, building
Um,
into the culture a bit more.
I mean, we talked about this before, but there is a trust issue, I think, in this world for not just for brands, but, we don't trust our politicians. We don't trust what's happening in the world with our environment. We don't trust what people are telling us in the news because everyone's now a news person. I could
Hmm.
suddenly give you the news. So there's a real
With
trust.
AI too.
And with AI, I mean, exactly. Like it's terrifying. So I think brand owners now need to get out there and give people something to believe in. And as much as I don't want to be on camera all the time, I much be rather be deep into my beautiful jewelry and planning new launches. It's super important. I did have a moment early on that kind of made me realize this. So when I opened my first store, I was selling a family product, right? We were putting a lot of kids' names on things. We've evolved a lot from that, but initially it was a lot of moms like with kids' names and birthstones and bracelets celebrating family.
Mm,
And I kind of felt like a fraud because I had a lot of this kind of push to open stores and make more money and kind of scale it a bit more was driven because I was divorced. So I was a single mom pushing a family product and I felt a bit like a fraud. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to keep that little tidbit quiet in my public life. Of course, everybody knew to some degree, friends and whatever, but I did not
mhm,
make that public in any way. And I was writing a lot of blogs back then. And then one day I decided to write an email blog, and we had quite a big list because I'd always collected at all these like ski shows and whatever. And I sent an email blog how I felt a bit bad about this and that actually
mm,
celebrating family was even more important now that I was divorced because connection was
mm,
so important. And we all feel alone in some ways and we all feel a bit lost. And being able to wear something that connects us back to our family, particularly when I don't see my kids every day, means more than any other product could. And the emails I got back, because back in the day, just hit reply, went right to me because I was writing them.
mhm,
They were like, "Oh God, I'm divorced too, and I feel alone
mhm,
as well." Like, and then
mhm,
now the sharing begins, and now the real
mhm,
customer conversation starts. Like, it's not about jewelry or what you're selling anymore. It's
mhm.
how can you connect with other humans. So that
Yep.
became a really big part of the brand, and it made me realize that It's our imperfections and our challenges that bring us together versus, oh, look how pretty my jewelry is and it's perfect AI and there's no wrinkles on this model and she's so perfect and my jewelry's so perfect. People are like, oh, I'm so tired of that. You
I
know?
think you're exactly right. I think that's where the fatigue is set in.
Yeah.
Like, people just they just want authenticity, and that must have been such a great moment for you too, in the sense that, like, my jewelry means more than even just how it looks too, right? Like, jewelry has carries such sentimental value, um, and to know that, you've got people responding like that, and to be that, um to kind of write that and give that to your audience and then have it be received so well. But like, then it also does connect to the jewelry, like that holds a special place knowing where their stuff's coming from too, or what it means to them. I used to have a jewelry business as well, and I get emails all the time telling me about how they gifted this to their brother or sister, or someone was in the hospital. And you're like, wow, I had no idea that,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, that could transfer and mean so much to someone, when really I just liked the design, or I liked what I was doing with it. It meant something to me, but I think it's really always insightful to figure out, like, oh, what does it actually mean to the person?
And how
And
do
when you
we get
see all
those
these
customers to
sales.
tell our stories for us? How do you get that person that answered your email saying, "This is what it means to me, I'm in the hospital." You want those customers to then share that, tag us, talk to also be authentic. Like, we're all called upon to be authentic. It'd be nice if the customer would do it. That wasn't just like a micro influencer or an influencer.
Exactly. Yeah, someone who has actually voluntarily bought from the brand, and you get a really you get true genuine feedback. And I think as a consumer, the difference, right? We're
Yeah.
getting to that stage of content. We're getting to that, I call it a bit of that mushy middle with UGC, where
Yeah.
we know now that, like, the product showed up on the doorstep yesterday, and
Yeah, we know.
even though they're hitting all the right lines, the notes and the script styled, you just know there's not that feeling of, like, oh, this is something you've been wearing for a while, or this is something you really wanted to share,
Yeah, and then
which
they say, "This
again,
is my
yeah.
favorite necklace," and then you follow that UGC influencer and they don't wear it again ever. You're like,
Right,
"Oh,
we're becoming
I
more savvy as
never."
buyers, right? And that's the constant challenge for a brand in marketing, is how do we continue to be that, what is the medium, what is the style of content that we're creating, what is the message, who's saying the message? These are the things that are constantly shifting in marketing, especially top of funnel, right? Top of funnel is the most demanding, because we are constantly looking to showcase our product to new people. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to grow. And while I'm growing rapidly, while I'm showing this ad to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people a day, I still want them to feel connected. And that's a hard thing to do.
It's
Right.
so hard, and we went through a period where we didn't do that. So, like, we grew, we had this customer base, it was amazing, the flow was coming, and I was like, "Okay, now who's out there who are my competitors?" I never, like, turned around to look. "Okay, these are the competitors." Now there's a bunch of them. Wow, this is kind of scary, like, they're really good, these competitors. I used to be the only game in town. Wow, I better just start competing with them. And
Hmm.
so suddenly we're like, well, we lost our brand voice. We stopped
Hmm.
telling stories. We started the bright shiny things. Aren't these cute earrings? Doesn't this look cute? And we lost a little bit of tracking there. And because there was so much competition and we just kind of looked like them.
Hmm. Yeah. It's such a challenge, especially when the market does become busy, is not to look left and right, like, to kind of take those blinders off and say, hey, they're moving this way and they're doing this pretty quick. And AKA, the ads that I'm seeing must work. So they should work for us.
Right.
Um, but yeah, there is definitely an element of, like, let's just keep working on getting better at what we're doing as well.
Yeah. Keep
Because
your head
you
down
don't,
and just keep telling your brand story. I mean, I get tired of the brand story. I've been telling it for years.
yeah.
But there's always new people that haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so, kind of, yeah, diving in now even more granularly into this performance marketing side of the business, and what has allowed you guys to, obviously, website being your main revenue driver, like you stated
Yeah.
earlier. I'd imagine a lot of that revenue that's coming from the website is coming from paid performance marketing. The infrastructure that you set up there, is that true?
Yeah.
Like, the most of the revenue that you're seeing from your website come from
We're just
advertising,
looking
or
at all those numbers. We're certainly all the new eyeballs coming to our website. Not all,
yeah.
but most of the new eyeballs are for sure. New customers coming from marketing, from paid marketing.
Hmm.
Um, but we're finding there's a bit of a funnel. Like, they get so far in the funnel, they don't always check out. So we're losing a bunch of
Hmm.
people at checkout, and we're trying to
Hmm.
figure out why. So again, it goes back to the tree. Like, if your tree, which is your website, is not solid, then you can bring all the people in the branches and from all the different areas and the SEO and the social media and this and that. And if you can't get them out, then you're wasting, you're spinning your wheels. So again, we're still just dealing with those same challenges.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, so essentially all the magic does happen on your website, right? It's where people buy,
Yeah.
it's where the frequency of people that end up on your website decide to buy, and it's where those people that are buying decide on how much they actually should be spending
Yeah.
or are incentivized to spend. And again, when we're building funnels out like that and we're putting advertising spend behind them, truly the biggest change you can be making to make sure that those ads are most efficient is like you said, it's coming from your website. So the theory is like, you might have great creative, but if they're coming onto the website to spend 20 or $30, that's actually not feasible for the business. We can't spend such little ad spend to get a purchase.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So the concept would be like, oh, hey, we're spending X amount on cost per clicks. We're getting a really healthy click through rate. What would happen if people just on average spent double the amount? Right? If they did, then our results in our ad account would be through the roof,
Yeah,
right? So it's actually like a
absolutely.
lot of the magic is going to happen and can we get people buying more frequently and can we get them spending more,
Yeah.
right? And more of a good thing. And you can incentivize that, right?
Yeah.
We can build that into, you know, um, collections, put bundling certain things. Hey, if you spend a certain amount, we're going to give you a free special gift. Things that in your bottom line make a lot more sense for you,
Yeah,
for the
we've been giving
business.
away a lot in discounts. We're just looking at those numbers. Obviously,
Yeah.
Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Everyone's doing that now, like for a month. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think your idea gift with purchase is great instead of giving away that 15% or
That's right, and you
10%, and then
because
they get something.
you've got different ways to look at it, and a lot of times, like, that gift is so much more valuable to the customer because again, 15% is really everywhere.
Yeah,
It's when you
exactly.
land on your
People
site and
even
it
price
pops
it
up
so
for
they
the
can give 15% off. So,
right, or like the email, "Hey, give us your email, 15%." Like, the saturation of 15% has lost its meaning. If we're getting into higher price point products, and you could do the math pretty quick, but there's something about the value of a free gift that feels so much nicer, and to your bottom line as the business owner, it might actually not even be 15% worth of cost of value to you,
yeah.
right? You might actually like that 15% if you were to incorporate that, you might actually be taking a lot more off that original retail price than you'd like to versus what the cost of that good is that you're giving off of a free gift
Yeah,
is much less.
absolutely.
So, and
Yeah.
they're feeling a lot happier for their free
Yeah, and the
gift,
long
right?
term, look at these earrings I got. These were free versus, "Oh, I got
Exactly. It's word of
$20."
mouth. They're sharing it. I got them for free. Like, the reciprocity, I think leaning into reciprocity and building strategies around reciprocity, which is really going that extra step to make your customer happy, knowing they're going to spread the word. I mean, you could look at that as a 2x return on your business. Like, if you just told one more person and they bought, that new customer that I just paid for is actually worth double because
Yeah,
that other person didn't spend on it. I didn't have to spend on an ad to get that person in. Um, so yeah, I think reciprocity is massive, free gifting, and again, just incentivizing and getting people excited for their purchase and excited to spend more ultimately at the end of the day. So your mix on marketing channels, is that primarily Meta and Google? Have you leaned into any other channels in the last little while?
it's mainly Meta and Google, yeah.
Nice. And is that pretty evenly distributed between spend? Like, what do you find has been working for the business the most?
That's a good question. We're meeting with our agency tomorrow. We're just looking at it. I mean, all of it works. It's just I think there's a funnel issue for us right now.
Yeah,
So you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So, we're definitely back to looking at a lot of those things right now.
fair.
Um, but the eyeballs are coming. We just have to get them to check out in greater quantities.
It makes sense. Yeah, and again, it's piece by piece, right? At least we have the data coming in, so we know where to attack that
Yeah.
funnel.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
endless
and
data.
then exactly, the data does tell all as best as possible, or better than any other marketing channel or sales channel. Any creative that stood out for you, like maybe in 2025, or creative in 2026, or creative that you're looking forward to testing? Like I feel like creative's
Yeah.
everything now when it comes to marketing, especially on these
Yeah.
social media
I
channels. So
I think it comes down to personalization. So we
Mm,
had a, influencer who approached us saying she, had an Instagram account about her dog, and she wanted to come into our store and have the dog's ears engraved on a pendant. Like, it's very I guess the dog has big, cute ears, and we took a picture of the dog and engraved the ears on a little real gold pendant, and she posted the story and video of the engraving happening, which has got a nice little sound to it.
yeah.
That thing went crazy and people
Oh,
loved it.
good.
And that was an example where it was her idea, like, it wasn't us saying, "Hey, we'd like to gift you something with your dog," like, and then she doesn't wear it, she doesn't you don't believe her because it isn't in the social proof going forward, which is super
Right.
important. So that was
Yes.
that was a good one. Another one is we do, a lot with handwriting, so we can take like we did recently, a woman's father passed away, and she had um, handwriting of the father saying, "I love you." And, she had that done for the girls in her family and put it on a
Well,
bracelet in his handwriting after he died, and, I mean, just doing it, it makes our jobs meaningful.
absolutely. No, that's so great. And so it's, okay, so if I'm getting that right, then like the content strategy is just continuing to lean into that authenticity and that emotional factor of your business because it's just such a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And it
And
does
we need
great
to
for
tell those
content,
stories
right?
more. I asked the staff the other day, "Is there any cool stories you guys have? Like, these things are trending, what." And our head of e-commerce was like, "Oh, yeah, like, years ago, I was in the store and this girl's making me engrave this weird, odd sort of number." And she said, "Oh, do you mind if I ask what it is?" These 2 girls were getting it, the same number. "Is it, like, lucky numbers or what is this?" And she said, "Well, we're best friends. We've grown up best friends. And, my friend over here recently searched for her birth father. And we found out that we're sisters and we both had the same sperm donor, or we're half sisters. So this was the sperm donor number being engraved, each of them on a pendant to prove that they're actually not just best friends, they're related."
Wow. Yeah. The stories.
It's like, we've never told that story. I'm like, we gotta find that girl. We gotta tell that story. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Absolutely.
incredible.
It's like,
Or
hey,
we
can
got
you
we
sign
have to
this and
tell
we
the
can
story.
use your story for marketing purposes,
Yeah,
please?
it's just amazing what we hear.
Yeah, I guess okay, so, we're coming up to time, so maybe just one last question I'm curious for the business is, what's next? What's the goal for 2026? What are we setting as goals? What are you excited for the business? What's your plan from could be marketing standpoint, just business
Right.
standpoint?
Well, with all the tariffs all over the world, particularly
Mhm.
from the US, I think we're looking to, and also wanting to support Canadians and Canadian goldsmiths and Canadians. We're launching a signature real gold, Canadian line, and it's the wax molds are made by hand. Instead of doing CAD drawings, which is super easy and quick, it's a computer drawing. They're hand drawn by an
Mm.
illustrator, each pendant. So they feel like old world. They feel like a coin, sort of going back to history. And they can be customized endlessly with birthstones. Anyway, they're going to be
Wow.
incredible, and we're launching that in a few weeks, and we're super excited about that. And whatever thing goes sort of takes off in that line, we'll probably make it in demi-fine jewelry. But to start, we're doing it all here locally, um, and we're super excited about sort of getting back to our roots and personalization and taking it even a step further.
Yes, yes. No, that's beautiful. I'm gonna be looking out for that drop. That sounds incredible. And like you said, definitely even more back to the roots, more back to
Yeah,
the jewelry just continuing to mean something.
yeah,
And what a cool story to tell. Yeah, Sue, it's been fantastic. What a nice chat. I really
yeah.
appreciate you coming on to
Lovely to meet you.
Masters of
Thanks for
Ecom
having me.
today. And we'll chat again soon.